Hey, what's up? It's your radio love, Deja Vu. Listen, in the studio, I always have your favorite celebs. Today, we have our favorite financial gurus, the guys from Earn Your Leisure, Troy Millings, Rashad Bilal. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Listen, I know you all are busy. InvestFest is right around the corner.
Indeed.
But I want to talk about the startup, the origin story from you guys. I hear that you all were friends way back when you were kids.
We were. We still are.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
but how did you all launch? Who decided, let's get this podcast thing rolling?
Yeah, we started out, I'm an educator. That was my trade for 14 years. He was in the financial world. And we were teaching young adults about money. You know, there was an internship program where they were going to get paid, so it was important. And it was something that was lacking in schools. And we were trying to figure out how to scale it. And, he started recording the classroom episodes and people, classroom sessions, and people were like, this is great. Where'd I find this? And, he was starting doing interviews, trying to create his clientele for the financial advising business. And people were like, look, where's the rest of that episode? Like, we need that.
Right.
And he was like, well, it's somebody else's. They were like, you should create a podcast. And I'll never forget, he came to my house. He was like, yo, we should create a podcast. And I was like, okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, like, sure. We have no idea what we're doing. We never came from an audio background, but why not? We believe in each other and we believe in vision. And so it was one of those things. We sat down, jotted out the plan for it, and we kind of just executed on it. Got a few people in our neighborhood to help us as far as like figuring out how to record and what that meant and uploading. And we tapped in our third partner, Mike, and then Earn Your Leisure was birthed.
Man, let me tell you, what a journey it's been. Talk to us about, how long ago was that when you started?
That was 2019.
Right before the pandemic.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So you got everybody, right? When everybody was at home trying to get their podcast, you all had already launched. What has the journey been like since then?
Oh, man, it's been amazing. One of these things just kind of caught on like wildfire. And it's just been up. We've been able to travel the world, do events at scale, talk to billionaires, meet, our favorite celebrities. So it's been a very humbling experience, but most importantly, been able to impact a lot of people's lives. A lot of people, brought their first home from listening to our information or started investing in stocks or, started a business or Airbnb. So it's been, time flies, but it's been very gratifying for sure to have that level of impact in a short period of time.
What are some of the basic things that you all like to talk about and get across with your listeners? Because I know you started out talking about just the investing and everything, but what are the basic tenets that people need to know if they are trying to make financial moves?
I mean, financial discipline is important. So I think, first you just have to live below your means. This is things that people heard before, but it's just
so hard to do
when
the shoes are on sale. Like, let me just go on to get them.
Make sure you invest regularly. Make sure that we always encourage entrepreneurship. Even if you're an employee, you can still have a business that you're doing from if you work a 9 to 5, business that you can do from 7 to 10. Something that you need extra income, especially in today's society. Very few people can just rely on their job's income.
Absolutely.
To make it, especially in a city like New York. It's not going to work. So, we always encourage multiple streams of income. That's vitally important. Real estate is very important. Credit, you have to first understand how credit works. You have to build up your credit. Sometimes you have to clean your credit. But knowing how to leverage credit the responsible way is very important. Understanding how stocks work.
That's still mind-boggling to me. I mean, I know the basics, but then I'm like, okay, financial accountant, help me do this. But you still want to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, right? Yeah. So what do you advise for those kinds of things? I mean, do you tell them to, hey, get a financial planner or to basically learn it on their own? What advice do you give?
I think we always encourage people to educate themselves first because even when you get a financial advisor or somebody in the world of finance, you never know if they're taking advantage of you. In fact, the people who get taken advantage of don't have the education.
Yeah.
But most times it's the mindset, right? Like the same way you said those shoes are on sale, the same way when I look at a company on the stock market. When it dips, I'm looking at it like that's a sale. The only difference is when you see it, it's like it's a must buy. And when people see a company, they're like, it could fall lower. I don't want to go near it.
Right.
So it's just a mindset shift that we try to encourage people to look at it the same way. Like we know what it is to consume. We can do that. We're great at that. We buy products and we elevate companies. And a lot of times we create billion-dollar brands. When you think of Snapchat or even like Instagram before Meta bought it. I mean, we raised up the value of that to a point where they could sell it for $1 billion. And so we know what it is to create brands and make sure that they thrive, but we've never been on the ownership side. So that mindset shift in terms of ownership and consumerism is important.
And so how did you guys decide to go from just doing the podcast to launching your Invest Festival? Because I've heard now that it's got so many people who have come through. You have all these different sponsors. You got something connected with BlackRock involved. What? Break this down for me, from doing your podcast here to where you are now.
Yeah, I think it started with, Rashad usually sends these text messages out that are just kind of blank, and it was like, I have an idea. And
just randomly?
Yeah, just random, like I have an idea, and then like 24 hours go by, you don't hear anything else. And then the next text will be like, let's get on the call, and he explains the idea. So I mean, I throw it to him, but like that's where it starts at. Like, I have an idea.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the landscape and understanding that events are a very important part of any brand. Like, a lot of brands are attached to events. So we would go into a lot of different financial events and conferences, and conferences and financial events have been around for a long time, but
of course,
wanted to kind of see how we can do something that has never been done before. So that's why festival. Looking at the landscape, you see a lot of music festivals. You see Essence Fest. You see, there's festivals have become very popular. But I'm like, well, what if we combine the financial aspect that we've been known for, but have a festival feel to it as opposed to like a business conference or a symposium? So that's why the name festival is important, because before that, I don't think that there was ever like a festival put in front of a business conference before. So that was the idea behind it, just to have an in-person experience, but not just a regular conference, something that was like really, really go crazy and nothing that anybody had ever saw before. So that's when we decided InvestFest. And then with the word festival, you have to actually have some elements of a festival. You can't just use that word. So we're like, okay, how can we make it different? So we have a vendor marketplace. So over 400 vendors inside of there. We have food trucks that you would kind of see at like an outdoor festival.
I just saw this Lady Vegan's going to be doing a pop-up food truck thing out there. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, so food trucks. Then we have musical performances. We have like a VIP night. We have panels. We have fireside chat. So, and it's during the summer. Most business conferences are during the fall or winter. So we purposely did that because summer is like festival season. So the colors, how we do the flyer, it looks like a music festival flyer as opposed like with the names and everything. Like it doesn't look like a business conference.
Such good marketing.
So yeah, so that was all part of the idea of having like a festival.
How did you get the corporate buy-in, and at what point were you in with your podcast? I mean, had you already had your celebs then, and people getting the traction, and how did you launch it from there? Because you have to have people who are believing. We hear you. Oh yeah, this is great, but
we don't really have. Well, we don't have corporate buy-in. We have some corporate relationships that are cool, but we fund everything ourselves. So we fund InvestFest ourselves. Like I said, now we have some partners that have come in and chipped in, but the idea was funded by ourselves, and we still fund 95% of it ourselves. So we never really had to convince corporate about an idea.
Wow.
We had the idea, and we just did the idea, and then we still don't have really support from corporate. It's very small in the grand scheme of things relative to what it would be if it was somebody else that was doing it. So
is that something that you guys are pitching and looking for, more funding?
Yeah, I mean, that's always part of it, right? Having strategic partnerships, but having brands that and financial institutions that understand the mission, right? That they find value in what we're doing and find value in our audience. Because it's super important when you're talking about an audience of over 50,000 people over the course of 3 days. And when you look at the annual incomes, this is not the average, income, right? It's not 36,000. When we take a poll of our people that are coming, it's 75,000, 85,000. So you're talking about a small economy is coming, but convincing corporate institutions that there's value there is a strong part. But I mean, we have the value of working with people that we can connect with and have strong relationships with. And so when we're creating the first InvestFest, we don't have to look too far. We can look at the people who've actually been on the show and say, all right, well, we're doing this live event. You had an episode. Would you like to come back and speak at this live event? And so we've kind of used that to our advantage, even to the point of from going from year 1 to year 2. We interviewed Steve Harvey in between that.
Yes.
And he becomes somebody who's super interested in what we're doing and wanted to figure out how to be a part of Earn Your Leisure's success. And he said, all right, well, InvestFest is coming up. This makes perfect sense. And so we go from 4,500 people year 1 to 12,000 people year 2.
Wow.
And then we get the Tyler Perrys and Dan Cathy's of the world, Mike Novogratz. And so now the clientele has grown, but the audience has grown, and the appeal has grown to it as well.
What do you think the sticking power is? What is it that's bringing people to you all? I mean, because like you said, there are people who are teaching financial literacy, but what is it about Earn Your Leisure that's drawing them?
I think it's just, the relatability, how we package the information. and how we tie it in. So we tie it all in, whether it was with the music, it's with sports analogies, it's with fashion, it's with pop culture, it's with humor. It's just it's a unique experience that I think we're able to curate just from being ourselves. So that's something that at that time it wasn't really popular. Now it's probably more popular now, but at that time, business has always been like traditionally buttoned up and very stush. So I think we just had a kind of a unique approach to how we delivered the information, and people just kind of related to it. They were able to understand it, and then they were able to get results from it as well. So that was just like a combination.
Yeah.
Do you guys still maintain your full-time jobs as well as you're building this out?
Yeah, this is my full-time job.
This is the new thing. So what was that like, shifting from what you were doing previously? You said you were an educator to saying, okay, we're going to stand 10 toes down on this. Let's do it.
Yeah, it was a calculated decision. I never thought that, people always ask, did you ever dream that it would be like this? And I'm like, try to imagine creating a show that changes the world when you're growing up. You don't think that.
Right.
But I had the luxury of watching entrepreneurship. Like Rashad's been an entrepreneur pretty much since his adult life, and our other partner, Mike, is an entrepreneur. I was just the guy that was working in a school district. And so the pandemic kind of expedited it. You know, at that time, we had been a year in and school shut down. And so I was home. And I was kind of looking at it from a phys ed standpoint. This doesn't even make sense to be doing over a computer. In fact, I might be in the way of somebody who can actually take advantage of this career. At the time, we were generating a little bit of income, but I said to myself, look, if we can make amount A, then I'll stop. And we got to amount A, and I was like, can I go to B? And then I'll stop, and then we got to B. And eventually, I was watching my wife work during the pandemic because everybody's home, and I'm like, the way she's stressing out for this corporate job, I want to know if I can get to point C so I can have her stop working. And eventually, we got to that point.
Come on.
And she actually ended up working with the company. So, yeah, it was a gradual process, but it was something I had to learn. Like, I knew what it was to work in a 9-to-5. I didn't really understand what it was to be an entrepreneur full-time, but I'm glad I had partners that could help me along the way and understand the process and even become more disciplined financially. I thought I was already, but now when there's not a guarantee that you're getting a paycheck every 2 weeks,
exactly,
and your health insurance isn't taken care of, and your 403B isn't just, you have to take more of your financial accounting to yourself and realize, like, all right, I got to educate myself in these spaces and now implement them.
What sacrifices have you guys had to make during this build up for Earn Your Leisure? Is there any kind of challenges that you guys had to overcome as far as promoting the brand, building out the brand, even just personally? Because we like to give our words of encouragement to people too.
Yeah, I don't really look at it as sacrifice. It's just the life that you chose. So for me, like, I was always an entrepreneur. So you just get used to, like, you might not see your family as much, or you might have to work long hours, or you might have to get up early, or you might have to travel. But at the end of the day, it's a blessing just to have an opportunity to be able to do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
So I don't really look at it as like a sacrifice. I just look at it like that's just the requirements of the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
would say nobody's going to outwork us.
Okay,
so
now.
Like you said, it's not a sacrifice, but to explain what's happening in real time, I think is important. So, yeah, we don't make all of our kids' events, but, we have communication with them. My wife wants to see me more, but she understands the process. In fact, including her in the business, she even understands it to another level. She understands, like, he has to go there. I know his schedule because she's part of it. So making everybody feel inclusive inside of it, the sacrifice part doesn't feel as strong.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys had any lessons that you learned financially since you've been interviewing these people? Give us something that maybe somebody dropped some knowledge while they were on the podcast that you were like, oh, snap, I'm going to have to implement that. Or that's a different way of looking at certain things.
Yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice came early. And shout out to our brother, Derek Falcon. He said on the episode that people major in minor things. And it kind of made me give perspective to a lot. It was like, don't sweat the small things, right? Always focus on the goal, right? Because if you take or you deviate from that focus, you could slip. And so anytime there's any type of disruption or somebody doesn't agree with something we've said or something we've done, I'm like, that's a small thing right now. Like, let's just focus on the mission, because the lives that we're going to be able to impact is so much greater than this moment in time. And so that's always been my kind of thing, like, stay focused, look ahead and focus on the people that are focusing on you.
And how do you have the balance? I always ask about faith, whatever it is. Do you have any kind of meditation, any church, anything that you do to help you stay balanced or even just focused spiritually as you're building out your financial?
Yeah, for sure. I think you got to take time out, just to decompose. So I feel like, meditation is important for me. Working out is important. Just walking. Sometimes you just take a walk. That's important, just to kind of clear your head. do stuff with family or, just having some downtime. So all of that is important, I think, to kind of, balance things out for sure.
All right. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, anytime that I'm with the family, I've set boundaries, right? And so, like, that's important because business could, when you're in this world of entrepreneurship, there is no day off and there is no punch out. And so finding time to make sure that I'm focused on them and enjoying that time with them and being present. I used to say there's a difference between being there and being present. And so early on, I used to just be there, but I'd be in my phone, I'm taking meetings, I'm taking emails. And then I realized, like, no, my kids didn't ask for this. Like, they asked for their father to be there, and that's the only thing they care about. So being present was something I was focusing on. So like you said, like taking walks, like we'll do walks, we'll go bike riding. Everything that would feel like a natural part of their adolescence and young adult life, I want to make it feel as normal as possible for them.
All right. And so we know InvestFest is next week, but what else is up for Earn Your Leisure? Will there be other media exposure? Are y'all going to do a TV series, a reality show? I mean, anything like that in the works?
Yeah, I mean, probably maybe not a reality show, but definitely, television is something that we are interested in.
Like what part? A scripted thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, scripted. That'd be cool. You look at like documentaries, film, stuff like that. That's something that's always been interesting, for sure. So I think that there's different opportunity. We have a curriculum that we just developed, and we launched it in schools last year.
Wow, I don't think I saw that part. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what does the curriculum look like? Is it for high school or elementary or what?
It's for high school. It's like new age learning when it comes to financial literacy. So it teaches entrepreneurship, it teaches investing, it teaches, credit, it teaches mindset. And we launched it in 12 high schools in the Bronx last year as a test pilot, and it got great feedback. So
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Where was that when I was in school?
Exactly.
Okay, because they taught us how to write a check, but they didn't teach us anything else about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's so super dope. And so what else are you looking at doing? Will there be another book? Will there be, any kind of...
There's a few things that are going to be announced at InvestFest.
So you're holding back on me is what you're saying. Yeah, holding back.
We got a pretty big announcement that I'm sure the world has been anticipating. And we're looking forward to our audience seeing. But, we're going to announce that Sunday at InvestFest right after the 50 Cent.
After 50 does his thing.
Yeah.
This
So
is
stay tuned for
amazing.
that.
I'm excited for you guys. And I don't know. I've been hearing, I've been seeing, and it's just awesome to watch the trajectory of two brothers who are expanding their thing. So that's awesome. Before you go, can you give us a hustler's tip? We like to ask for advice or something that you would inspire somebody who might be trying to start a business or a brand, or even if they wanted to do their own podcast. What would you advise?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you always want to keep overhead low. That's important in life, just in general, in business and in your personal life. Like, try not to make too much large purchases. Try to keep your bills low. That's something that's like 101. Like, a lot of people, as soon as they get money, their expenses go through the roof.
Why do we do that? You get a raise. I'm going shopping. I'm going to buy this, buy that, and then you're back living check to check again.
Yeah, for sure. So keep your expenses low. Always try to, hustle, increase the amount of money that you're making. The difference, invest as much money as possible. Because you never know when the time comes when, you're not going to be making that type of money anymore. So, never take it for granted. Always understand that, it could just be a temporary moment. So, but if you do it right, then the money that you save can last a lifetime. So that's important, because I think a lot of times, people live up to the peer pressures of the circles that they're around. Like, financial peer pressure is a big thing. So if you're $100,000, then you're usually around people that make $100,000, and you live a lifestyle up to $100,000. When you make $1 million, now you're around people that make $1 million, and you want to feel like you want to live that same lifestyle. And 9 times out of 10, they're living like they make $3 million. So they're living beyond their means, and you can live beyond your means no matter how much money you make. So the problem with that is that if you always do that, then you're never going to have any money no matter how much money you make. So always stay disciplined, live below your means no matter how much money you make, keep your expenses low, and invest as much as possible. That's the long-term game plan to actually build wealth.
That's it.
That was spoken by my financial advisor. By the way. Yeah, I would say that focus on relationships. Relationships will open doors that money can't. And we treat that very seriously. It's something that, we carry along with us, and we've been able to build our brand with. We treat everybody with integrity. We treat everybody with respect. and that's reciprocated. And you never know when you're gonna be able to call on somebody. We had Robert Smith at InvestFest last year.
Wow.
So that's not something. There's not a price that we can put on that when you're talking about the wealthiest man in the history of American society, right? Like, how do we pay
black
brother,
man,
yes.
black man in American history? So relationships were allowed us to have him at InvestFest and talk to our audience. And so, it could be a Robert Smith or it could be your CPA. There's value in everybody. And so make sure that you network, but you keep strong relationships because you'll need them if you want to grow and you want to scale in business.
That's great advice, guys. Thank you all so much for stopping by.
Wow,
We
appreciate
it,
Yeah.
and we can't wait for the big announcement.
Yeah.
And how can we reach you on social media? Tell everybody the site.
Earn Your Leisure across all platforms, our YouTube channel, website. So, yeah, Earn Your Leisure.
All right.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having us. I mean, we listen to your voice all the time.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate y'all stopping by for real and educating us. And let me know how we can help and build together for real. Earn Your Leisure, guys. Troy Millings, Rashad Valal, The Deja Vu Show.